Okay, in this hints and tips presentation we're going to take a look at the update manager and also the auto updates feature within Portara. So let's start off with the update manager, and let me drag that in. And in the normal course of events you don't need to alter anything in here at all. Leave this set to update all, do not change that, and you don't need to play around with the dates. It's all automatic the way it aligns everything up to Portara. But you can use this as a manual updates service. You can just click update data and it's going to know what to do behind the scenes, and it will update your data in the normal way. Now what I'm going to show you here in this presentation is how to auto update. So instead of you having to click this button each day, we can set up an auto updates feature. Now before we go down here and we click on this and we show you this, while we're in the update manager, let's take a look in tools and then into this auto updates API, and let me drag that in as well. Now what this does is it says for whatever zone that you are wanting to do your updates for, once the updates are on your machine, you may choose to have it then auto roll with any settings that you've already incorporated into the role manager. You might want it to compress intraday data that you've got, and you might also want it to create and compress some standard daily data as well. And another option in there is you may want to then open a an executable that you want to run, let's say for data, or you might want to open something like trading blocks to run trading blocks straight off the after the update is complete. So we just point to that particular exe. In this case, as an example, we'll choose trading blocks, and you can see now that that's done. Now you can do this for all the zones, or as I've done in this case, or for each individual zone. And you don't have to compress the intraday. You can skip these and it knows exactly what to do, and it will take the order of that as and when it does your updates. And then once that's set, you just basically say done, and it's going to remember those settings in the background for you unless you alter them. Okay, so that's step one. So step one is you set up the auto updates API within the daily update manager, and you don't have to run it after that. You can close this. That's then set up, and we're now good to go. Now how to place Portara into automated mode is there's a separate icon on your desktop called Portara Auto Updater, and it's a green icon unlike Portara's normal gold icon colour. Now if we double click that icon, what you'll notice here in the system tray, and I'm on an old XP copy here but it's the same for any version of Windows, it's now red, and as it bootstraps its way in it goes to gold, and eventually it's now polling for the CQG updates. And you can get rid of that balloon, just click it there, and if you right click and select show, and I'm going to drag that in, this is a separate independent program from Portara, and the sole purpose of this is to just check for CQG for the updates when they're available, and then when it does find those, it will then open your copy of Portara on your local machine, and it will automatically install those new updates, and then it will go back to this update manager here, and whatever settings you've got in the API which I showed you a minute or so ago, it will then run those in that order. And the simplicity of this is you just click on whatever zone that you wish to have. Some users may not even subscribe to Zone 1 or Early Europe. They might just have a handful of symbols. Life is easy. You just do whatever it is that you need for the zones you need, and you leave this open. You don't close this, you actually just reduce it and leave it open in the system tray, and when that discovers data, it will then automatically update your data. Now, a few features: if you've got Portara open and an update comes in, obviously you may be working on the role manager or compressing some data or doing things. It's not going to update Portara if Portara is open, because you cannot write to files and read from them at the same time. That's a no-no. So Portara must be in its closed position in order for the auto updater to do its task. And let me just open this again, and I'm going to show you a few more features. If, for instance, let's pretend Portara was closed and there was a data was coming in, let's say for Zone 1 and Pacific Rim, you're going to see a bubble appear here and a countdown clock of around 30 seconds, and it gives you 30 seconds notice to say that, hey, we're going to get ready to open Portara chart. And when Portara chart opens, it will open the update manager, and you'll see this, and any API settings you've got, it's going to run those, and then eventually it will reclose Portara down, and then what it will do, it will go to any executables you want to run. In the case we had trading blocks, and it will open trading blocks and perform whatever tasks you've got trading blocks to set for. And it doesn't have to be trading blocks, it can be any executable of your choice. Now, if you decide, hang on, there's an update coming in here and I actually don't want that to take place, you can just click the bubble, and then here, let's say if it was Zone 1 and we never had those set, you can see this clock. The clock would then turn to it's like an orange coloured icon. If for some reason there is an issue, I don't know, that there's some issue on your machine where the update couldn't happen, you'll see like a thumbs down red icon appear here. But if everything goes according to plan, there'll be a thumbs up green arrow, and down here you'll see that event has taken place. Now, one thing to bear in mind is this program here is completely independent. The only thing it does do is to run a small piece of code which opens Portara charts and runs the features in there. It doesn't monitor anything in here. It doesn't check to say that the auto update was successful, apart from down here you might see success and an icon. But what this is saying is it ran through that piece of code, and here we go. We've got now, it's found some data here. Now, if I was to click this bubble, I'm not going to do, you'd see an icon appear up here in orange. But what we'll do is we're going to let this run, do its task, and in another 10 seconds you're going to see a thumbs up icon. Let me close this actually. That might be an idea, and it might open off screen, but at least you'll get the same thing. You can see the icon status is now updated to say it's ran Pacific Rim, and off screen here to my left, Portara is opening. If you want to add the auto update monitor to your startup menu, so if you reboot your system or you switch off and then on, just click add to startup menu, and that will do that. Notice that auto update feature, even though you can run Portara on a laptop, it's highly recommended that for the auto update feature you have a production system that's always switched on. If you go into hibernation or any other of the Microsoft features, Portara can't guarantee that this is going to run successfully. It may do, but it may skip the odd one for Microsoft reasons. You can get this to run according to whatever weekdays you want. Standardly, you should leave that on Monday to Friday. There's no need to run it the weekends. And the final point to note about the auto update feature, which is extremely good, is the ability, if you do skip it or it breaks or you leave your system off for a couple of days or something happens, this is bright enough to know exactly where it was up to. So if it's not going to make data gaps, it's going to say, right, look, the last time we ran it we took, we were up to say Zone 2, 3 days ago. It's going to continue from Zone 2. It doesn't matter what zone it's up to, so you might have it only on Zone 4 for that particular update. It matters little. If it needs Zone 2 and you've skipped and you've missed zone 2, it will continue through all the data that it needs to bring itself up to date, and it will run then the zone that you're currently on. Okay, so it's bright enough to know in the background where it's up to at all times. You don't have to think, oh, we've missed one, and you know that's all inherent within Portara. And what is worth a mention is you can go into any of these zones and click and examine the data which Portara has available. This is the data from all zones that you may or may not be subscribed to, and please note that Portara data only is pulled into Portara once the settle prices have come in, and that includes the daily and the intraday data in these specific zones. And the last feature worth mentioning is a way to, using batch files and the command line, you're able to create batch files instead of pointing to an exe file in the auto API section of the update manager. You can point to a batch file, and the syntax for the batch files is in the help files. It's not part of this presentation. The syntax is tricky, but with a bit of playing around you'll be able to create templates which you can use in a multiple fashion in case you've got some very advanced data functionality in your trading regimes. Okay, thank you.